Welcome to today's topic, Aquanauts and Astronauts. What is an astronaut? Astro in Greek means star, and naut also in Greek means sailor. Interestingly enough, according to some sources, the term astronaut was used in 1880 as the name of a fictional spaceship in the book Across the Zodiac, and then coined by a French science fiction writer as astronautique. It seems our imagination continues to shape the world we live in. In other places around the world, you can find other names such as cosmonaut, taikonaut, and so on. I wonder what we'll call those from Nigeria or other places in Africa. It would be cool to join the party in space, bringing our culture with us like the cosmonauts and taikonauts do. An aquanaut is someone who remains underwater, breathing at the pressure around them in the water for a period of 24 hours or more. It is documented that we have a Nigerian aquanaut. Why do space travelers train in water? Let's look at training like practice for sport. In practice, you try to get as close to the real game situation as you can. The same principle applies to astronauts. One major reason why we use water is because of the weightlessness feeling. When we jump, we create a force acting against that force pulling us down. And just for a brief moment, we experience zero gravity. It's so quick, so we may not even really notice it. But back to practicing or training. To practice for space, we want to try to experience this zero G for a longer period of time. Enter practicing in water. Now let's be clear, in water, we're still experiencing gravity. It's just that we are now in the medium, the water, that allows us to float. According to Britannica Online, buoyancy describes how objects will either float or rise in the fluid, such as water when submerged. To create that weightlessness environment in water, we make sure we weigh less than the water below us, more than the water above us, so that we can stay at the same level. Do you want to play with buoyancy at home? Here's a simple experiment you can do with water, eggs, and salt. If you do this experiment, afterwards, be sure you're going to use these eggs and find something to do with the salt water. For the first glass, fill it about 3/4 to the top. So that's about filling it halfway and then filling it halfway from there to get to 3/4 full. Place the egg on the spoon and gently place it in a cup. Then watch what happens. For the second cup, fill it again to 3/4 up with water. Now start by placing 1 spoon of salt in the water and mix it up. Gently place the egg in the cup and observe what happens. Repeat adding salt and mixing it till you see the egg is completely floating. What you have now done is made the medium, the water, heavier than the egg, forcing the egg to move up to the surface while the heavier salt water is underneath it. For the third cup, this is where the amazing and more careful part happens. You'll need to play around with the amount of salt you add into the cup until you manage to get the egg to float in the middle of the cup. By the way, ocean water is salty too. Thank you for stopping by with me today. I look forward to seeing you next time. Who knows what we'll learn on the next rotation. Remember to learn something new every day.